Hi, this is Mark at Learn How to Garden, and today we're in actually the 10-minute garden. We're in Betty's 10-minute garden, and we're going to be discussing what's sort of working in the garden, what we're cropping at the moment, one or two of my ideas on what I describe as chaos planting. And before we get on to that, if you're not already subscribed to Learn How to Garden, you're missing out on our monthly newsletters. There's a link below this video. You can just hop over if you fancy it and subscribe. If not, we'll get on with today's episode of the 10-minute garden. So I'm sitting here in my mum's garden and it's great. I'm surrounded by colour, I'm surrounded by scent, and I'm surrounded by food. Food is the reason we have this little potager. One of the things I love about this is, just to my left here, we've got our peas. Now, if you remember on the pea video, they're climbing up these hazel sticks. And what I love about this is the sort of total sort of mesh you get from it. But at the same time, if we can focus in here, there are these beautiful mange tubes growing. Now, there's enough on here for a great meal. And I'll be taking some of these if I get away with it, if my mum's she's not here at the minute, and using those. They're brilliant, they are just, and they're divine. I mean, if any of these get home, I'll be amazed. As a child, one of my memories is of walking through the peas, picking them, podding them and eating them, and then while the pod was still on the plant and leaving them, and driving my granddad mad, because he'd think he'd got loads of peas there, and he'd get these brown pods, and basically it's because his grandson had eaten the peas from inside. No problems with the peas really this year. They're doing quite well. They went in quite late. It's still probably not too late to get some short peas sown. You'd get them later in the year, so that's a thought, but these are brilliant, they're really, really doing well. The same can't be said for behind me. These are our climbing beans. It's been one of the worst years for climbing beans that I can remember. I don't know how close we can focus in here. We are starting to get some beans growing on here. This is Cossy Violette. They're very small at the minute. I would have expected them to be much further on, but they really have been a difficult year. But what has been a brilliant success, and if we look down here, is the habit that I've got into, that was covered in the video, of always putting a second bean in about 6 weeks after the first. So although the first lot got hit, these second beans are already about a third of the way up the stakes. Now, yeah, they're going to be late, but does it matter? They're going to be fresh when they get here, and they're going to be more helpful to us, because it's not the time we normally have fresh beans. So it's a brilliant thing to do, to put that second bean in. And again, not too late. If you fancy it, you could sow one of the small dwarf French beans, and you'll probably still get a crop towards the end of the year. The other thing that has worked out really well are my mum's beetroots. These are her beetroots. She loves her beetroots. And we went through before, she's got a couple of types of beetroot. She's got Swiss chard, which is this beautiful multicoloured one here. If I just pick a piece, wonderful golden colour. And this can be used in a couple of ways. I tend to cut the leaves off and use that as a spinach substitute. And then the actual centre rib, I chop up quite small and very, very quickly fry that with garlic and olive oil. Again, not too late to get this in. In fact, I've got this growing in a pot with nasturtiums at home, and that is really good. But one of the things I wanted to show you, if I dig around in here, or perhaps I should dig around in the front, mind you, they're easier down here, but I don't think you'll be able to focus on this. If I take these out, can you see, this is what we were talking about right at the beginning. This is called multiple seeding. We planted 4 beetroots in a little module, and we didn't thin them. And as they've grown, they've pushed each other away. They're smaller than the great big beetroots, I admit that, but there's probably more bulk than one great big beetroot. They'll certainly be sweeter. And what will be great about these is they'll be perfect once they're roasted to pickle. You know, I'm not a great fan of pickles, but pickled beetroot and cheddar cheese sandwiches is one of the things I really do like. So we'll roast these and literally then pickle them. So this is multiple seeding. Now this can be used with beetroots, spring onions work really well, small round stumpy carrots, not the long ones, will work really well with it. And it's anything that sort of pushes apart. Small white turnips work brilliantly. And it means that you get small usable sized ones, you know, sweeter, younger veg, but you're getting more of them, and that's multiple seeding. And to do that, you take either a little Jiffy 7, or you can take a pot and just put 3 or 4 seeds in and don't thin them out. Really simple technique, really easy. So that's where we are at the minute. That's what we're cropping. We're cropping cucumbers, tomatoes, basil out of the greenhouse. The peppers are coming along nicely. Our leeks are growing quite well, although we have had a few reduced down by some slug damage. But in the actual beds where we're going to take out the beetroot, and in the front of this bed we're going to be planting some of our winter greens, but that's on a separate blog. And we're also going to be planting celeriac. Far too late for celery, but celeriac is a great alternative. And again, we'll be popping it in front of the leeks. We'll be putting it about 6 to 8 inches apart, and each one will create a nice knobbly ball. It gives you that wonderful celery taste in your winter cassoulets and your stews or soups or casseroles, you know, or roast veg. It's really good. You could sow seeds now, but you know, you're sort of getting a bit late in the season. So what I'll do now is just show you how we'll pop those in. I've got some small ones out of one of the trays. So these are some of our celeriac plugs. We grow them in these little tray plugs. Jiffy 7s do exactly the same. And what you get is this small plant with loads and loads of roots on it. And to be honest, in our no-dig beds, it's really simple. Again, we do the use your hand, it's about 8 inches. Make a small indent, in it goes. About 8 inches square, in it goes. And I'll just replete this and put a couple of rows in. My mum really won't eat more than about, you know, 8 or 9 celeriac throughout the winter. It's the same with a lot of winter veg, you know, people plant too many. Think, how often do you eat certain things, how much of something will you need, and then concentrate on growing that. And celeriac's quite an expensive thing, you know, to buy. So we're going to put a couple of rows of celeriac in front of, like I said, the leeks, which, as I say, are suffering a bit. As I get closer, I'm not so sure it is actually slugs. This looks more like baby rabbits. And unfortunately, my mother no longer has a shotgun. She wouldn't have said she had a shotgun. I never actually saw it, but when I was a child, she used to actually announce that she was going to shoot various things, you know, balls that had just gone through the greenhouse and various things like that. Anyway, like most ex-teachers, you still tend to believe her. She has the voice. Hopefully you'll hear it in a couple of weeks. So we'll continue with our celeriac, and that'll be this finished. So that's a quick update about what's growing in the 10-minute garden. Remember, this is only 10 minutes a day she spends in here, and she's already cropping all of this stuff. So if you really do want to get a lot out of your garden for very little time spent, look up our no dig bed video and look up the 10-minute gardener ones in Betty's garden about what we're doing and why. It really is that simple. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoy what we're doing. Try and catch the video on chaos planting, and certainly try and catch the ones on winter greens. It's really important that they go in now.